From the historic East Cobb Baseball Complex in Metro Atlanta, it's the 2017 Travel Ball Select National Championships, an elimination ball game inside of the 12U classification, where today, two of the great states for youth athletics across America meet with a championship on the line, at least at some point this afternoon, when Florida meets Georgia. It's the East Cobb Tigers and Team Extreme Addictive. And just like that, we are underway with a hard ground ball down to the second baseman. This is East Cobb, the Tigers of the state of Georgia, starting at the plate. And Trey Jackson, the center fielder, retired 4-3. Here on Field 4, hello again, everybody. I'm Chris Mooneyham. Glad to be back with you this season. 4 games on Field 4 today. I'll be here with a play-by-play story this morning into the afternoon and potentially into the evening. Here's Dylan Lonergan, who started with a strike. Tanner Sauls, the right-hander on the mound for Florida, who kicks and fires. And now a 1-1 count. Down to the final 4 in the 10-team double elimination 12U 2017 National Championships. And no big surprise that some of the finest states across America in the Final 4, representing the 12U classification. That'll be strike 2. Of the 4 teams remaining, 2 of which from the state of Georgia, 1 from the state of Florida, and 1 from the state of California. Breaking ball bears in on the shoe tops of Lonergan, and we've gone to 3-2. Trey Jackson led things off. Dylan Lonergan at the plate. Stephen Vrolich on deck, and a chopper. Pass Sauls, fielded it short, throw to first. 2 men gone. So Jackson retired 4-3, and now Lonergan down 6-3. Take a look at the offense, or I beg your pardon, the field assignments for Florida. It'll be Dunsford, Garrity, and Cravatas in the outfield. Again, left to right, Dunsford, Garrity, and Cravatas. First a pitch from Sauls. Off the outside corner, a fastball. On the infield from third to first, it's McCraney, Odom, Davis, and McKenzie. Again, third to first, McCraney, Odom, Davis, and McKenzie. Riggs behind the plate receiving the dealings from the right-hander Tanner Sauls. And here is Stephen Vrolich at the plate. Righty kicks and fires. High pop at second. Davis has it for out number 3. So a scoreless top half of the first inning. We'll go ahead and keep it here as opposed to taking a break. Get you set up for the bottom half of the first inning, where Florida will come to the plate. Georgia will have a defensive lineup of Cooney, Jackson, and Vrolich in the outfield, with Harris, Lonergan, Pace, and Holbrook on the infield third to first. Again, the outfield left to right. Let's go back to the outfield left to right. Cooney, Jackson, Vrolich. An infield lineup third to first of Harris, Lonergan, Pace, and Holbrook. Behind the plate, Barron, and he's receiving the dealings from the right-hander, Nick Newton. James Davis, Jackson McKenzie, Preston Murphy, second baseman, first baseman, and designated hitter. You're guaranteed 3 in this bottom half of the first inning for Team Extreme Addictive from the state of Florida. If you're watching travel baseball for the very first time, obviously all these teams represent their states very proudly. And that is one of the ongoing themes throughout the national championships. But they all also have their own little unique names, so many of them with so many really great names like Renegades and MGBA Bulldogs, Team Extreme Addictive, the East Cobb Tigers. Those are the 4 teams that are remaining, by the way, in the national championships in the 12U classification. You'll see teams like the San Diego Show and the Cincinnati Flames, top-tier Americans, D-Bat Elite North, some really great names in travel baseball for these teams. But while they're trying to win for their communities and their regions are also trying to bring home national championships for their states as well. James Davis into the box, ready to start things for Florida at the plate. Florida donning the baby blue, white, and red. Little cue shot off the end of the bat. Fielded it short. Lonergan throws him out. So each team first pitch swinging in the national championships. This, again, an elimination bracket ball game. Whoever comes up on the short end of this ball game will then be out of the national championships. Here's Big Jackson McKenzie. Jackson was on the mound and drew the win in their previous ball game. That was a star-studded matchup, to say the least, when Florida beat Texas. This Team Extreme Addictive Club took out D-Bat Elite North from Texas. Cue shot up the middle, base hit. McKenzie, the big guy, with our first hit of the 10 a.m. ball game. Yeah, that was some kind of ball game. Our previous ball game, the 8 a.m. first pitch ball game here on Field 4 as Texas met Florida. You had the number one team in America in all of travel baseball taking on this Florida squad. Who's number 3 in America? Now Preston Murphy, the designated hitter, takes a fastball high and away, and he starts ahead in the count. Star-studded affair in the 12U classification this year for the Travel Ball Select National Championships. A star-studded affair. Let me do a quick count of all the teams that were ranked or in the honorable mention. First a pitch. Sweeps outside. Make it 2-1. 10 teams of the 17 that came out this year. 12 of the 17 teams taking part in the national championships in the 12U classification here this week, either nationally ranked or honorable mention. So a star-studded affair, to say the least. Murphy waits and takes a fastball high to draw the walk. So after a ground out by Davis, McKenzie singles and Murphy walks. And here's the extra hitter, Joseph Thomas. I want to remind you of our schedule moving forward. We'll dive deeper into this ball game in a moment. Pop up at third, takes a funny hop and rolls foul. And thankfully, if you're a Georgia player or supporter, Harris was not able to get close enough to that ball at third base to get a piece of it. It kicked foul, and it'll just be strike one. As I mentioned, 4 teams remaining and bidding for the national championship. Newton steps off. This elimination bracket ball game between Georgia and Florida, winner moves on to a 2 p.m. ball game here on Field 4. 2 p.m. if you're out there watching somewhere in Florida or Georgia and you're watching one of your young family members playing in this ball game. The winner, obviously the loser of this ball game out of the national championship tournament, but the winner will play right back here on Field 4 at 2 p.m. Obviously in another elimination bracket ball game. Double elimination, 10-team tournament, bracket, championship to determine who will win the national championship. So if Florida or Georgia does it, they'll have to fight from the elimination side of things. Outside corner. Our next ball game here on Facebook Live, travelballselect.com. Our next ball game will be, we're going to have 4 games back-to-back to back-to-back. So a noon first pitch schedule. Don't know that we'll see that first pitch at noon, but we're scheduled to go off at noon in the undefeated bracket. Center field. Falling base hit. McKenzie had to hold up at second. He does make his way over to third, and now the bases are loaded with just one man out. Thomas with a solid single. Jackson in center field had to play that one on the hop. And so this high-powered, very talented, very dangerous offense for Florida as the bases loaded first inning and nobody out. One out, I beg your pardon, one out. Here's Terry Dunsford. Dunsford in left for Florida in this ball game. Newton in a spot on the mound. Set and fire. Fouled away. So that noon ball game, again, will be in the winner's bracket side of things, the undefeated side of things, where Georgia will meet California. That'll be MGBA Bulldogs, the state of Georgia, versus the Renegades of California. That Renegades club, California, the number one team in America. Chopper foul. Going to be a long, entertaining afternoon here at the historic East Cobb Baseball Complex in Metro Atlanta. We're in Marietta, to be precise. 25 minutes from downtown. Throw down to second, trying to get behind the runner. And they do. That's a big out. 1-2 count, by the way. That is a big, big out.
Oh, you know what? Take out the extension cord, the vinyl cable.
So Murphy's picked off at the second base bag. Runners at the corners with 2 men out, and that takes a sacrifice fly out of the equation. Runner is breaking. That ball in the dirt. And from first, Thomas takes second. Dunsford with the 2-2 count at the plate. So California, Georgia, and Florida, one of those three states will be national champion. Oh, curveball stayed high. One of those three states will be national champion in 2017. The 12U classification, year in and year out, one of the more entertaining of all the age groups. Fastball stays high, obviously. Second walk in the inning for Nick Newton. Fourth consecutive man to reach. The bases are loaded once again, this time with 2 out. And here's Aiden Garrity. Who takes strike one. Bases loaded. And 2 men out. Oh, got a chance at it. And they got him! 2 men picked off on the base paths with the bases loaded in the inning. How about that? Take a quick break and talk more about it when we come back for the second inning. No score after 1 in Atlanta. back for the top half of the second inning. It's the 2017 Travel Ball Select National Championships. Tanner Sauls kicks and fires. And a strike to start Ira Harris after a foul ball. Ira Harris, Dylan Holbrook, Nick Newton. You're guaranteed 3 in the second frame for Georgia, who did a masterful job of getting out of the inning, the bottom of the first inning, after the bases were loaded with 1 man out, and then bases loaded with 2 men out. Couple of pickoffs. Center field may fall, but it does end up hanging up for Garrity, 1 man out. So an F8 for Harris. All right, let's dive into both of these teams and start to, now that we've got things set up for the rest of the day, let's start to dive into the bio for both of these clubs. Here's Dylan Holbrook, by the way. This Georgia squad, the East Cobb Tigers, were a number 7 seed after pool play, for those of you the uninitiated out there. All the teams in the national championship assigned into pools, or divisions if you prefer. They all play each other. This one drilled down the left field line. That ball deep and hooking towards the corner, but foul. 2 strikes now. They'll all play each other. Guaranteed 4 games. And then the top teams after pool play advance on to bracketed play, where we championship play, where we had 10 teams assigned to the double elimination tournament. East Cobb 2-2. The Tigers, Georgia 2-2 after pool play. Swing and a miss. 1-2 count on Holbrook. Now they finished 2-2 in pool play. They were actually outscored mightily. Pop-up stays foul. They were outscored 35-15. But won the ball games they needed to. They were hammered in a couple of ball games, but then won a few close ones as well. Swing and a miss. And a strikeout for Sauls of Holbrook. First strikeout of the ball game for either club. And here's Nick Newton, pitcher versus pitcher here. At second, and into right center field for a base hit. So Newton with the first base hit of the ball game for Georgia. Yeah, first ball game that Georgia played in the championships, they fell to the Cincy Flames of Ohio 15-0. Then won a tight knit 6-5 ball game with Tennessee, the M3 Elite, and then beat Indiana's Outlaws 6-3. They then fell in their final ball game of pool play 12-3 to Texas, the D-Bat Elite North, one of the best teams in the country. Cue shot right, may fall. Right fielder coming on, making the catch. Vrolich for out number 3. We'll continue our bio on the Georgia club as opposed to taking break. They then, after that 2-2 record, earned a number 7 seed into championship bracketed play, where they were into the 7-10 ball game, took on top-tier Americans, the club name, from the state of Illinois. So you had a Georgia-Illinois matchup in a 7-10 game. That was a very exciting affair in which Georgia won 10-9 to advance. They then got a rematch with Texas, the D-Bat Elite North. Lost that match, that ball game 13-5, and that's what dropped them down into the elimination bracket. Where, as I mentioned, They put together a little winning streak. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 in a row now. They took out Oklahoma's Midwest Elite, 8-5. And then, and isn't this the way sports always goes? Remember, I mentioned their very first game here this week. They lost a 15-0 ball game to an Ohio club, the Cincy Flames. That's how they started their week. Well, how about this? 2 ball games ago, yesterday, they knocked the Flames out of the national championship by beating them 5-4. And then this morning, they played the 8 a.m. ball game over on Field 6, and East Cobb built a big lead on California San Diego show, and they held on for the victory. So 2-2 in pool play for Georgia's East Cobb Tigers. Earned them a number 7 seed into bracketed play. Won their first ball game, lost their second, and now have won 3 in a row inside of bracketed play since. Aiden Garrity retired 4-3. Garrity was at the plate. You may remember when Dunsford was picked off of first base, and here's Alexander McCraney. If you're just tuning in, you missed a wild bottom half of the first inning. First the pitch to McCraney, which sweeps outside ball 1. James Davis started us with a ground out, but then McKenzie singled, Murphy walked, and Thomas singled. That loaded the bases with just 1 man out. Newton deals. Fastball inside corner, a strike. So bases loaded, 1 man out. Newton delivers a pitch. Barron pops up from behind the plate, the catcher, fires down to second, behind Murphy at second base, the base runner for Florida, and picks him off. So now runners at the corners with 2 men out. And again, this was in the bottom half of last inning for Florida. So now the runners at first and third with 2 men out. To right, and pretty well hit. And that one going to be over the head of the right fielder, Cravatas, and to the wall. It'll be a double with 1 man out for McCraney. And here's Kobe Riggs. Riggs, the Florida backstop, with a runner in scoring position now with just 1 man out in this second inning. And Florida continuing to hit the ball well here early. Newton set, check the runner deal. Fouled away. So, yeah, Florida had the bases loaded, 1 man out. Bottom of the first. Had a runner picked off at second. Runners at the corner, 2 men out. Then Dunsford walked to reload the bases with 2 men out. But then a few moments later, Dunsford was picked off himself at first to win the inning. That one in the dirt. Good stop, but the runner breaking for third, and he's in safely. McCraney takes third. Good heads-up base running by Alexander down at the third base bag. Didn't break immediately, but he was watching the pitch, sizing up the big bounce as it came into the catcher, and he was breaking for the third base bag. Fastball off the inside corner. 2-1 count. So we've taken a look at the bio for the Georgia boys. 2-strike count now. Let's take a look at the young men from the Sunshine State. Team Extreme Addictive. The guys from the state of Florida, the number 3 team in America, according to the TBS national rankings, put together by Rick Goff and his squad. They were the number 4 seed after pool play, but they were a 4-0 squad. One of 4 teams that were undefeated after pool play. Texas, D-Bat Elite North, 4-0. They were the number 1 seed. I beg your pardon, the number 2 seed. The Renegades of California were the number 1 seed. Breaking ball called strike 3. Kobe Riggs is gone on the backwards K. That's the first strikeout of the ball game for Nick Newton. And here's Andrew Kravatis. Who pops one up at short. Moving back on it and making the catch is Lonergan to retire the side. One man reaches. Extra base hit for McCraney, but he's stranded at the second base bag. When we come back, we'll talk more about Florida on TravelBallSelect.com. Facebook Live, the National Championships in 2017. Back at the East Cobb Baseball Complex for the top half of the third inning. Elimination bracket ball game between Florida and Georgia. Georgia to the plate in this top half of the third inning, the lower seed. So they'll be the visitors. Well, that's not exactly why they're the visitors. The way it works here in the national championships, the higher seed has choice whenever they meet as to who's the home team. Florida chose to do just that, to be home team in this elimination ball game. Matthew Cooney at the plate to face Tanner Sauls, now with a 2-1 count. It'll be Matthew Cooney, Walker Barron at the bottom of the order, then back to the top side, and Trey Jackson. You're guaranteed 3 in the third. So we're starting to dive into the bio for the Florida squad. Number 3 in America. I'll get to that in just a moment. Number 4 seed into championship elimination play. Swing and a miss. And Cooney's gone with the strikeout. That's number 2. Second strikeout for Tanner Sauls. And now Walker Barron. Team Extreme Addictive from Florida. 4-0 inside of pool play. Outscored their opponents 39-19. 39-19. And this is not the first time these two states have met. A liner at second, and Barron retired 4-3. Florida beat another East Cobb program, the Astros, 6-1 to start their week. Then took out the Ironmen of Indiana 11-3. Beat the Panthers, Parkview Panthers of Georgia, from my neck of the woods, 13-9, and then a 9-6 win over California's San Diego Show. So a healthy 20-run advantage in pool play for this squad. Here's Trey Jackson, leadoff man for Georgia. 0 for 1 in the ball game. He grounded out 4-3 to the second baseman to start the ball game. So Florida earned that number 4 seed. And after beating California's San Diego Show in their last pool play ball game, they played that very same squad in their first game of bracket play at short. Going to be a tough play, and there'll be no play. Infield single. Trey Jackson. Second hit of the ball game now for the Georgia boys. And here's Dylan Lonergan. Lonergan retired on a ground out to the second baseman his first time up. Actually, check that. We may have ourselves a pinch hitter. Well, now, wait a minute. Good gracious. Center field, inning over. A little behind there on the, that was Walker Barron who just flew out. We'll get this thing straightened out. Get these names straightened out when we come back. A little bit of a mishap in the lineup that I was given. I'll get it straightened out, and we'll come back and let you know where we're at when we come back on TravelBallSelect.com. Scoreless so far through 2.5 as we make our way to the bottom half of the third inning. Florida to the plate. No runs on 2 hits for Georgia. No runs on 3 hits for Florida. And David Odom to lead things off. Bottom of the order for Florida. Then we'll get back to the top side and James Davis, Jackson McKenzie. I can promise you I'm right on that. I'll beg your pardon for the flub. If you're a Georgia faithful in the top half of the third inning, I'll get that lineup straightened out here in just a bit. Had some of the wrong names assigned to some of the young men there that last inning. We'll get it straightened out. I'll assure you of that. So Florida, as I mentioned, as we continue our bios on each club, number 4 team seeded entering bracketed play, fell in their very first ball game to California, the San Diego Show to be precise, in a 4-5 matchup. Lost that one 8-2. And a walk to start the inning to David Odom. Now that'll be the third consecutive inning that Nick Newton has had to pitch under duress, with stress, those stress pitches we always talk about for pitchers at any level. Newton allowed 4 men to reach in the first, 1 man to reach last inning, and now a leadoff walk in the third. Here's James Davis, who offers at the first. Oh, this is actually Tanner Sauls now to the plate. Yeah, Tanner Saul's at the plate here. Then we'll get to the top half of the order. Got a chance. And gone. Into the trees, Tanner Sauls. A 2-run home run. And it's 2-0 Florida. Sauls, who, I got to be honest with you, didn't even have him in the starting lineup when I was given the lineup card. And now we're back to the top of the order, and James Davis. James 0 for 1. He grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Newton retires him. Davis down 1-3. So after starting championship play with the loss, Florida dropped down into the elimination bracket. They took out Illinois' top-tier Americans, 9-0. Then defeated another of the best teams in America. Keep in mind that this Florida club, number 3 in America, the number 1 team in America, is from the state of Texas, DBAT Elite North, as McKenzie gets himself a hit, and he's looking for extra bases. And the big guy is safe at second standing. 1-out double. So in an elimination bracket ball game here earlier this morning, we had number 1 in America versus number 3 in America. Texas versus Florida. Florida obviously won that ball game. That's why they're playing right now. They beat Texas 4-1, and that's how we reached this matchup. In the dirt. Threw Barron to the backstop, and McKenzie now standing at the third base bag. Newton fires. A strike. Pours one in there to Preston Murphy. Murphy walked his first time up. McKenzie now, by the way, with that double a moment ago, 2 for 2 in the ball game. Only man to reach that number. Murphy was on base in the first inning via a base on balls. He's got 2 strikes on him now. Preston a 1-2 count. Yeah, he walked in the first but was picked off. Snagged at the second base bag on a great throw by Barron of the Georgia backstop. 2-2. So again, the winner of this ball game will be in our 2 p.m. ball game. I'll be with you for the play-by-play story. The winner of this one moves on. The loser out of the championships, obviously. Ground ball headed up the middle and into center field for a base hit. Make it 3-0 Florida. On the RBI single from Preston Murphy. 3 in the third. So the winner, as I mentioned, will play right back here on Field 4. Yours truly with the play-by-play story. A 2 p.m. scheduled first pitch. It might be a shade after that, but Joseph Thomas cuts and misses. Joseph, an EH for the Florida squad in this ball game. Singled in the first inning. Tried to check a swing, could not. 2 strikes. And, of course, the winner of this one will be facing elimination yet again. Coming up at 2 p.m., roughly. That's Eastern time, 2 p.m. here in Metro Atlanta. Oh, runner breaking from first, and Murphy is caught in the pop-up double play. But 3 in the inning. Tanner Saul's 2-run home run and an RBI single by Murphy, the highlights of the inning. 3 in the inning, 3-0 through 3. Florida out in front on Travel Ball Select and Facebook Live. Trey Jackson to start things in the top half of the 4th inning. Trey started our ball game with a ground out for 3. Of course, a few rules to go through for those of you, the uninitiated out there. We always have new viewers out there, we know. Family members watching from across America who maybe have never watched a loved one. You know, we got a lot of grandmas and grandpas watching, aunts and uncles, cousins watching. Their young people playing in the national championships, watching them play their travel baseball for the first time. Thanks for joining us. You'll be really impressed with the skill level of these young men at 12 years old. My gracious. Jackson does a great job of keeping the keen eye and drawing a walk to start the 4th frame. And now Dylan Lonergan. Dylan 0 for 1. Retired 6-3 in the 1st inning. This kid's got a little pop in his bat. And they could use some pop right here if you're a Georgia squad. For those of you watching maybe for the first time, in the 12U classification, games 6 innings long. 6 innings long. So it's starting to get late if you're on the Georgia side of things. Time called. And we'll have ourselves a meeting at the mound. Yeah, all 9U through 12U games are 6 innings long with an hour and 45-minute time limit. Of course, I feel compelled to say this. For some of you listening out there, you know this already, but if a team's batting at the hour and 45-minute mark, of course, they'll get to finish their at-bat. No inning can start after 1:45. And once we get to the championship, by the way, we will not have a time limit. Stays high. We are still playing with run rules, despite the fact that we are inside of championship bracket play. Don't imagine we'll have to worry about that too much today as we get close to the championship game, but we'll talk about that if need be. Strike. Good pitch. Very, very good pitch. Tanner Sauls has looked very good so far in this ball game.
Let me get this player, Coach. Johnny right here on first base. Let me get first base.
Only 4 base runners by my count. Yeah, 4 base runners for the Georgia squad. Time's been called on the field, by the way. We got ourselves a young man out on the field with a nosebleed. It's actually Jackson, the base runner at first. It's turned into a tremendous weather day here in Metro Atlanta. Again, we're in Marietta, to be precise, at the historic East Cobb Baseball Complex, the home of so many national championships, where so many future big leaguers have come through these parts. You just can't imagine the long, long list of young men who played here on their way to the big leagues. I made a count many years ago. I think the number was north of, I think we were in the low hundreds, as in, like 105, something like that. I'll beg your pardon for not having the exact number, but so many tremendous young men have come through these parts. Travel Ball Select hosts the Travel Ball National Championships each year at the prestigious East Cobb Baseball Complex in Atlanta. There are multiple ways to qualify for the Travel Ball National Championships. Team can qualify by being ranked by TBS and receive one of 12 automatic invitations, or a team can earn a berth by winning one of the National Travel Ball qualifying events. Travel Ball Select boasts top competition, true class play, true team play. The voice of reason in travel baseball. Visit travelballselect.com for the latest travel ball news, national rankings, and to keep up with the national championships that will unfold throughout these couple of weekends here in Metro Atlanta. Don't have to miss out on any of the Travel Ball Select info. Not just travelballselect.com, but many of you, of course, following us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter as well for the latest news, videos, things of that nature. All sorts of action revolving around travel baseball. They're going to lift Jackson for a courtesy runner, by the way, as Lonergan slips back into the box. And the runner's breaking promptly. How about that? Jackson checks out. Trey Canan checks in. Number 1, courtesy running at first. And Canan going again. And that one shot into right field, a base hit. That's a big base hit. Putting runners at the corners with nobody out. That's a big one. Well, great teams can be held down, but the big thing you want to do is answer when you have the opportunity. This is the first real scoring threat for the Georgia boys. They were retired 1-2-3 in the first, got a 2-out single in the second. Runner breaking from first. And there'll be no offer to the second base bag. Lonergan's got himself a stolen base. And they got a 2-out hit, did Georgia, in the third. So they've had runners on base prior to this inning, but no real threat. Swing and a miss by Vrolich. Stephen Vrolich now, who was retired in the first inning on a pop-up to the second baseman. Big spot for his club. 2-minute scoring position. Nobody out. Top 4. Starting to get late. And he takes one high. 2-1 count. Good eye. Good eye by Vrolich to not offer. That high fastball is tantalizing. Trust me, I know. Swing and a miss. Well, that looked like some kind of a slider. Looked like a fastball, but had a little bite and a little sink. A little too hard to be a change, I think. 3-2. Swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Tanner Sauls. That's going to be his third of the ball game. Comes at a big, big moment. Here's Ira Harris. Ira started the second inning with a flyout. Swing and a miss. Snap throw down to third. And the runner back. Ira way out in front of that first offering. Let's see what he's offered here on 0-1. Something hard, count even. Fought it off. 2-strike count. If you're Georgia, you'd like to get at least one out of this thing. Ground ball at short, and they'll do just that. Throw to first to retire Harris. Run does come across to score. Ira gets himself an RBI ground out, 6-3. So Georgia's on the board at 3-1 now. And here's Dylan Holbrook. Holbrook, a strikeout victim his first time up. That back in the second frame. And he drives one into center field and pretty well hit. That one headed towards the wall and off the wall. The run will score from third. That's Lonergan. It'll be an RBI double, and it's 3-2. If Holbrook pulls that ball to the left a foot, we're tied. Instead of an RBI double, it would be 3-3. But as we are, it's 3-2 now. 3-2 in the fourth. And here's Nick Newton. Oh, 1 count. Nick, his first time up, singled. In fact, he delivered the first base run of the ball game for his squad. 2 strikes. Ball game's changed complexion a little bit for this young man. He's also the moundsman for his squad. So you know he's loving the way this inning's going and would love more than anybody else to push across that last run. And it's a called strike 3 with the runner breaking. How about that? Newton retired on the backwards K, the fourth of the ball game for Sauls, but finally an uprising offensively for Georgia as they plate 2. Cut the ball game to 3-2 to the bottom of the fourth. From Atlanta. On to the bottom half of the fourth inning. Georgia into the field now with a brand new feel, as they've cut this ball game to a 1-run affair. Now 3-2 as Florida comes to the plate. They own the lead. And Georgia's chipped into it. It's Terry Dunsford, Aiden Garrity, Alexander McCraney. And this, the home half of the fourth inning. Again, keep in mind, only a 6-inning affair. So it's starting to get late. If you equate this to what many of you know so well, the big league level, college level, instead of a 9-inning affair, this one only 6, so you might as well just look at this and say it's the 7th. Dunsford walked in the first and was eventually picked off the first base bag. To left and deep and in to the trees. Dunsford with a solo home run to start the fourth inning. And Florida, after giving up 2 in the top half of the inning, get 1 back. It's 4-2. Now Aiden Garrity. We'll have time called on the field before we keep moving. Coach going to come out and have a conversation with Nick Newton. Nick's not been too bad. He really hasn't. He's given up, let's see, now 7 hits in the ball game. 7 hits, the 4 runs, all earned. That'll be the end of the afternoon for him, or the morning, I suppose, to be more precise. We'll have ourselves a new moundsman for the boys in purple and gold. I believe, let's wait till we catch his number. No need to speculate. Yes, indeed it is Trey Canan, or Canan, as I was told before the broadcast. So the book will be closed on Newton, obviously, with no one on the base paths, as Canan toes the rubber for Georgia. Nick Newton's day will finish with 3 innings pitched. He'll give up 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned, walk 3 men, and 1 strikeout. Again, the numbers on Newton. Nick Newton done after 3 innings, giving up 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 3 walks, and 1 strikeout. That walk to start the third frame was a big one. And Nick did a masterful job of maneuvering around bases loaded 1 out and bases loaded 2 out in the first frame. Gave up a 1-out double in the second. Got out of that jam, but could not get out of a big jam in the third. Canan kicks and fires to Garrity, who pops one into center field, and that ball carrying deep and over the head of the center fielder. Garrity ends up only at the first base bag. A good job in center field by Jackson to, oh no, I beg your pardon, that's not Jackson anymore. Jackson had to check out of the ball game. He did not come back into the affair. But a good job by the center fielder to corral that ball, keep that to a long, long single. I didn't watch Garrity out of the box, but I wonder if Aiden was hustling the entire way. That looked like double all the way. Center fielder came in on that ball initially and then had to break back. And that little twitch coming forward was the killer. Here's McCraney. Runner breaking. That one sweeps outside and in the dirt. And no chance for Barron to pop up and throw down to second to nab the runner. McCraney at the plate with a double in the second. Well, let's flip-flop that. This is James Davis. So McCraney's wearing 5, and Davis is wearing 05. So we'll flip-flop them in the order here. And he pops one into center field. The call and the catch. Throw into third. This could be close. Oh, the third baseman can't quite corral it. That's Ira Harris at third. So James Davis retired. Now Kobe Riggs, I suppose. Davis falls to 1 for 2 in the ball game. Strike to start Riggs. Riggs with a strikeout in the second frame. Well, I'll beg forgiveness to the Davis and McCraney family for getting that mixed up before. Although, not to excuse make, but that's what I was given before the ball game. Unfortunately, I don't cover these kids all through their travel ball season, so all I can do is go by the rosters and the starting lineups that I'm given. 2 number 5s in the lineup. Oh, that one bounces up there. Runner breaking to the plate. And the throw in time, but he beat it. 2 in the inning. 5-2 now. Well, now home plate umpire going to head out to the field umpire and see what he saw. Any way they'll change this ruling? Oh, boy. I'll tell you what, they might be. All right, they'll call him safe. 2-2 count on Riggs. 2 in the inning. 5-2. Florida's out in front. Canan kicks and fires, and that one chopped foul third base side. We'll stay at 2-2. Two gone in the inning, and here's Cravadas. Andrew 0 for 1, popped up to the shortstop his first time up. He's 2 very, very big runs in the inning. Canan choked that one off, squeezed it a little too hard and bounced it up there. 1-0 count. Yeah, these are 2 very, very big runs that have been scored in this inning. Quite obviously, from 3-2 to 5-2. Oh, caught him. Andrew going to reach first base the hard way. Here's David Odom. Big spot now if you're Georgia. Defensively, you want to hold this at a 3-run ball game as Cravadas swipes the second base bag. Obviously, that's your thought if you're Georgia. Every run is so big here. Let's keep it at 3. Of course, if you're Florida, you're thinking to yourself, man, if we could put 2 more on the board, stay away from a potential grand slam, tying this ball game up, that would be very, very big. And it'll start getting late here pretty soon. Florida shortstop waits and chops one down to third. Harris fields, fires across for out number 3. So Odom's retired 5-3, but not before 2 runs in the inning, highlighted by the Terry Dunsford solo home run to start things. It's now 5-2 through 4 on Facebook Live and TravelBallSelect.com. Back for the top half of the 5th inning. And a ground ball headed up the middle and into center field for a base hit. Nate Isler with a hit here in the 5th. He's now 1 for 2 in the ball game. Got the bottom half of this lineup sorted out. If you remember the couple innings ago, we had some confusion. Now Cal Pace to the plate. Cal 0 for 1. Runner's breaking, and he'll take second. Big spot here for Pace. The runner in scoring position. Again, his team now down 5-2. He will put one into left field for a base hit. Consecutive singles to start the fifth off of Sauls, and you wonder how much he has left on a hot day here in Metro Atlanta. And his coach may be thinking the same thing. Come out and have a conversation with him. Trey Canan to the plate now. At the corners, nobody out. Big spot, sort of third runner back. Tying run now at the plate. To left, and a base hit. Canan with an RBI. Single. Making it 5-3 now. Florida out in front, and that will be it looks like, for Tanner Sauls. So the book not yet closed on Tanner Sauls, quite obviously, as the two base runners belong to him. Preston Murphy's climbed the hill. Towing the rubber and ready to be the new man on the mound for Florida. So far, Sauls, the numbers, unofficially 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned, a walk and 4 strikeouts. But again, the book not closed on Sauls, quite obviously. That'll get Matthew Cooney to the plate. So Matt, the man in the spotlight now, squaring. Good bunt. Got a chance to reach, and does. Beautiful. Gorgeous bunt. Infield single. So 4 consecutive hits to start the inning. And the bases are loaded now for Barron. takes ball one. So Preston Murphy thrown right into the fire as he comes onto the mound here in this fifth inning. Again, this is a 6-inning ball game, remember, so it's getting late. 1 run already across in the inning to get us to 5-3. Tying run in scoring position. Good speed on the base paths. Barron 0 for 1. Retired F8 his first time up. So here in the inning, Isler with a single, Pace with a single, Kanan with a single, Cooney with a single, and Barron's gone. Well, I've got a little bit of controversy here. Georgia, let me let you behind the curtain, let you know what's going on. Georgia's batting every man on their roster. That is a right that you have in the travel baseball ranks. What you can do is, with your roster, when you bat, folks, the official rule, and I want to read it right from the rule book here, each team can bat 9, 10, or their entire roster, but nothing in between. So you can't bat, 13 if you have 14 on your roster, for instance. So Georgia has 11 men on the roster, and they have 11 men batting in the ball game. Now, here's the problem. Rules state that if somebody comes to the plate in a ball game and then can't come back to the plate later on, you're assigned an out if you don't have somebody to fill that slot, F-I-L-L, fill that slot. Well, head coach for Georgia contending that the TBS rules, travel ball select rules, dictate that if that player is injured and certainly unable to come back into the ball game, if he's unable to come back into the ball game, he believes that he should be able to move on in the batting order, bring the next guy up. The number 2 man in this case is who it would be, because Trey Jackson's the player in question who had to check out of the ball game. He's still over on the sidelines dealing with that nosebleed. And the head coach for the East Cobb Tigers from the state of Georgia contending he believes it should not be an out in the inning. We'll see what the officials decide here. I must tell you, I am rather ignorant on this rule, and I don't have the full rule book in front of me. Just a wrap-up of the rules here. Let me make sure. Yes, indeed, I do not have that in front of me. So this should be interesting. Umpiring crews getting together, and some of the officials from travel ball have come over to join in the conversation as well. We haven't had the opportunity to see the head man in charge of things, or one of the head men in charge of things, Rick Goff. We'll see how they're going to call it. As it stands right now, 1 man out in the inning. First 4 men have reached via single. Isler, Pace, Kanan, Cooney. Cooney on an infield single and a bunt attempt. Let's see what we find out here. Now, what you're seeing right now on your screen, by the way, just beyond the fence to the left-hand portion of your screen, you see now him standing. That's Trey Jackson that's just come to his feet, number 2 in the East Cobb Tigers uniform for the state of Georgia. Now he's just gone off screen. There he is. You can see him.
Stay with him, John. Stay with him.
Holding his nose there, trying to keep his nose from bleeding. Don't know if he's still bleeding. Now, they made the official call that it will be an out if Jackson cannot bat. Well, Blue coming over and giving us the call off camera there and saying they're going to let him hit. How about that? So as opposed to taking the out, they're going to push Jackson up to the plate. Now, this is a perfect type opportunity to see a slap type hit or a bunt. Let's watch. Bases loaded, 1 man out. He'll take ball 1. Trey Jackson's been sitting over on the sidelines for what has to be 20 minutes of real time. Checked out of the ball game. He walked to start the 4th inning, and while he was standing at the first base bag, his nose started to bleed. They tried to work on him out there on the field, but eventually had to pull him out of the ball game and put in a courtesy runner for him. They lifted him from the ball game. He hadn't played out in the field in the bottom of the 4th anyway. But now the officials made the ruling from Travel Ball Select that it would be an out if he could not come to the plate, which would be the 2nd out of the inning. And so the powers that be over at the Purple of Gold from Georgia said, well, let's send him to the plate. Went over there and said, hey, kid, can you hit? And he said, yeah, I'll go for it. And here he is. He's 0 for 1 officially, a ground out to start the ball game to the second baseman, and that walk that I mentioned a moment ago in the 4th, and he's hacking. Good bit of courage out of this kid. I'm proud of him. Swing and a miss. He's gone on the strikeout, so there are 2 men out. First strikeout for Murphy. And now Dylan Lonergan. This kid has some power. Takes ball 1. Dylan 1 for 2, a ground out and a single. This kid has enough pop in his bat to turn this ball game completely around. Lined, left center field, base hit, headed towards the wall. 1 run is in. Second run coming to the plate to tie things up. They'll send the next runner to third and to the plate. Relay throw. Cut off. Bases clearing double. Ryan Lonergan. And just like that, 3 runs come across, and it is 6-5 Georgia. Seven to the plate in the inning. The bases are cleared. And here's Vrolich. How about that? 4 in the inning. That's travel ball for you. As good as the pitching can be, and it can be so great sometimes. You get tricked into this false sense of security because you know these hitters are going to be so advanced as well, and so a lot of times you get tricked into this false sense of security thinking, oh, well, this is going to be a low-scoring affair where the offenses can't get going. Yeah. We were scoreless headed at the bottom of the 3rd. Georgia only had 2 hits in the ball game. And since then, they've put up 2 in the 4th, 4 in the 5th. While Florida's put up 3 in the 3rd and 2 in the 4th. Strike. Vrolich, a pop-up that ended the 1st. And a strikeout in the middle of the 4th. to right. Hooking down the line and foul. Well, these Georgia boys trying to pull off another upset. This was not a club that was nationally ranked or in the honorable mention nationally. Doesn't mean they are not a very, very good team, don't get me wrong. Walked him. So Brolich trying to keep the inning rolling. Now runners at the first 2 sacks with Ira Harris to the plate. Ira's F8 started the second inning, and his 6-3 ground out in the fourth brought home a run. Swing and a miss. Matter of fact, brought home the first run of the ball game for Georgia. Takes a breaking ball this time. 1-1 count. Swing and a miss. Fastball. Up around the letters. 1-2. You see Ira shaking his head. He did not want to offer it that. Couldn't lay off of it. So tough. Chopper foul. Swing and a miss. And that'll be the inning. But not before a monumental 3-run double by Ryan Lonergan. 4 in the inning. And now a completely different ball game. In fact, it's 6-5. Georgia's out in front to the bottom of the 5th on TravelBallSelect.com and Facebook Live.